Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. Before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody to check out our website, big4accountingfirms.com, and we'll have a link to our website in the show notes as it relates to today's episode. In today's episode, we're going to be going over the final rankings for the Big Four accounting firms for 2021, and we're going to be ranking them based on not only revenue, but also the employees. But since we have all the revenue in, KPMG was the last one to report. They just reported a couple weeks ago. We now have all the Big Four accounting firms' revenue, and so we can begin ranking them. We'll start from the bottom up. Now, the last of the Big Four accounting firms, according to revenue, is KPMG. KPMG earned $32.1 billion during 2021. And this is a pretty good increase for them. It was a 10% increase over their 2020 number of $29.22 billion. It was pretty shocking that they did so well since headline-wise, they've had a pretty bad year. But the headlines relate more to their audit work, and they've really been leaning on the advisory work to grow. So as long as that doesn't continue to eat into that, then they should be good going forward. But there's a lot of regulatory changes coming in Europe that might impact KPMG, but also the other Big Four accounting firms. The third largest accounting firm by revenue is Ernst & Young. Ernst & Young earned $40 billion of revenue in 2021. In 2020, they earned $37.2 billion. So they broke $40 billion of revenue for the first time. The second largest Big Four accounting firm is PwC, with $45.1 billion in revenue. And this represents a small increase from 2020, where they earned $43 billion of revenue. And the reason PwC might not be growing as fast as other Big Four accounting firms is because of they lean very heavily on audit work. They're the largest auditor, and so this is going to hamper their ability to grow during years where the other Big Four accounting firms are winning a lot of consulting work because they're conflicted out. The one thing that might be able to save PwC is winning more governmental work because it's a little bit harder to get conflicted out of those situations. But they haven't probably gotten a strong foothold in there as the other Big Four accounting firms, so that could be something that holds them back. And coming in at number one, the largest accounting firm in the world is Deloitte. Deloitte earned $50 billion of revenue in 2021, and this is an increase from 2020 where they earned $47.6 billion of revenue. And this puts Deloitte up there with the largest companies in the world as far as revenue. Not only Deloitte, PwC, these are some of the largest companies in the world. It's just they're not public companies, so you don't really hear about them that much. But with these amounts of revenue, it just shows how big the Big Four accounting firms are. And we're going to talk about in a future episode another similar firms to the Big Four accounting firms that have also been having blockbuster years that are it's going to bring a preview to what's in store for the Big Four accounting firms in the coming years. This episode is brought to you by Voomer. Voomer helps you ace the interview at the Big Four accounting firms, and it does this by helping you practice on questions typically asked on the Big Four interview. And if you use the link or promo code which goes to tryvoomer.com/big4 or the promo code BIG4, then listeners get 10% off their purchase. So go ahead and check out their website, tryvoomer.com, and see if you like all the tools they have that can help you prep for your Big Four interview, and you do choose to purchase it. Make sure to use the link in the show notes because with that link, you're going to get 10% off, or make sure to use our promo code. All the details are in the show notes. Let's rank the Big Four accounting firms by the number of employees. And we'll go from bottom up, similar to what we did for revenue. So the largest or the smallest accounting firm by number of employees is KPMG. As we'd expect, KPMG had 236 employees in 2021. And this represents a pretty good increase in employees from 2020, where they had 219,000 employees. As you can see, as the Big Four accounting firms hire more people, they earn more money. It's scary having all those people as a fixed cost. And especially for KPMG, where they laid a bunch of people off and then they ended up hiring a ton of people right after that. It's scary to put all that investment, but the more investment you put in the big four accounting firms and the harder you push people, the more money you're going to make. Now, whether that's sustainable or not is something that we'll have to see, especially in downturns. It's very risky. The third largest accounting firm by number of employees is PwC. Now, as you remember by revenue, E&Y was their largest, but PwC is the third largest by employee, and they had 295,000 employees, where 2020 they had over 276,000 employees in 2020. The second largest firm is E&Y. E&Y had 312,000 employees in 2021. And the largest accounting firm by employee is Deloitte. Now, in 2021, Deloitte had 345,000 employees or around their global firm. And so what this shows is that PwC is the most efficient by revenue by employee, where the other accounting firms aren't as efficient. Ernst & Young is the least efficient. So they are obviously not able to go to market and earn that revenue. But I think it's pretty well known because E&Y is known for underbidding contracts, and that's just kind of how they win their work. So it's not really astonishing to see that number, but it's something to think about, that PwC is able to price their work a little bit higher than everybody else. So it's just something to learn about. But it's also, I think, as when we look at pay, PwC pays pretty well too. But when we look at UK and we've looked at the partner pay, Deloitte pays really well. When we look at Deloitte and PwC, the pay is pretty comparable, and then it drops off when you look at E&Y and KPMG. But those are the final rankings of the big four accounting firms. You could obviously use that as you want. If you want the most prestigious, it's probably going to be between Deloitte and PwC, but by revenue, it's obviously Deloitte. And then if you want the best chance of getting a job, you probably want to, go by the number of employees. E&Y and Deloitte are probably going to be the easiest to get a job at, whereas the other two are going to be a little bit harder. They're going to a little bit smaller and more selective as far as candidates go. So that's just something to think about there. But that's the final rankings for the year 2021. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to stay up to date and check out the show notes for useful links. Thanks for listening.